Coming home from clubbing in the middle of the night, I was caught red-handed by my brother, and a small box accidentally fell out of my pocket. I nervously explained. Gum. His face was so gloomy that he looked like he could kill someone. What kind of gum is it? A condom? Having a good time with it. Huh? I retorted guiltily. None of your business. I'm an adult already. Later. He pushed me down with a sullen face. His eyes dangerous. So you're an adult, right? If you talk back during the day from now on, your brother will pay you back double at night. Coming home from clubbing in the middle of the night, I opened the door on tiptoe. The living room was pitch dark. I was secretly happy, safe. Just as my hand was about to touch the light switch. Back already. A deep voice came from the darkness. My hand trembled. Oh no. My life is in danger. Pff, brother. Why didn't you turn on the light? I nervously clasped my little hands. Chase was lazily leaning on the sofa, giving me a death stare. What was the latest time I told you to be back home? 9 o'clock. And now? 9 plus 180 minutes. Very good. He slowly raised his head, his eyes showing a fierce look. Mia. I think you're asking for a beating. I was picked up from the garbage dump by Chase. And he also raised me. Since I was a child, I liked to get into trouble, and had been beaten by him a lot. Judging from my 20-year-old experience, when Chase turns into an irritable mad dog, either my butt will be beaten black and blue, or I'll obediently admit defeat. Seeing that the situation was not good, I instantly turned into a sycophant. Brother. Brother. Big brother. I hugged his thigh. Looking pitiful. I'm wrong. I'll never dare to do it again. Tang Tang was in a bad mood today. I played with her for a while, so I came back a little late. Chase snorted softly, stretched his legs, and gave me a sidelong glance. Don't give me that. I shook his long legs, wearing a fawning and flattering smile. Brother. Your legs are so long. You are the most handsome brother in the world. Facts have proved that as long as you are sweet-mouthed, act cute and coquettish, you can make Chase, this stubborn mule, calm down instantly. His expression gradually softened, but his face was still full of anger. A student going to a nightclub at night. What kind of people are there? Don't you know it's dangerous? This time it was a bit difficult to coax him. I increased my efforts and directly sat on his lap, hooking his neck. Everyone knows I'm Chase's sister. Who would be so blind as to mess with me? Don't be angry anymore, brother. Muha 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 muha. He frowned and raised his hand to wipe off the lipstick on his face. Brother. Does this new color of my lipstick look good? He looked disgusted and pulled out a tissue to wipe his hands. It looks like you ate a dead child. Then he stared at my face, his brows tightly furrowed. Why are your eye boogers still shiny? I almost choked. This is called a beauty term for a part of the eye in Chinese. I blinked my innocent-looking big eyes, showing off to him. I spent a long time on this cat eye makeup. Doesn't it look good? Like in Journey to the West, he commented. I gritted my teeth and smiled. Forget it. What does an old straight guy like him know? His eyes fell on my miniskirt. His anger flared up again instantly. What is this you're wearing? A skirt. I explained in a low voice. I think it looks like fucking sexy lingerie. If you bend over, your panties will be exposed. I'm wearing safety shorts. Still talking back. Chase was very irritable. I became obedient and cowardly. Brother. I'm wrong. If you go out dressed like this again, I'll break your legs. He threatened me. I'll never dare again. Brother. I wriggled and shook his head. Don't be angry anymore. Okay? Brother. 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 Hiss. Stop wriggling. Suddenly, the voice above my head paused, and his breathing became heavy. Suddenly, he pushed me away. I didn't understand why. Brother. What's wrong with you? He took a moment to catch his breath. His voice hoarse. Go back to bed. Okay, never mind what kind of nerve you're having. Anyway, I've escaped this beating. I happily got up. Just as my feet touched the ground. With a click, a small box fell out of me. The 3 words on the box were extremely conspicuous. My heart panicked. Chase picked it up 1 step ahead of me. What is this? He stared at me. His eyes extremely dangerous. I nervously snatched it away. Pretending to be calm, I explained, gum. He sneered coldly. Ultra-thin gum. And it's a condom. His face was so gloomy that he seemed to be able to kill someone. Having a good time with it. Huh? My legs felt a bit weak. Brother. Let me quibble. No. Listen to me explain. The back of my neck was gripped by his large palm. And he exerted a little force. Forcing me to look at him. Mia. I sent you to school to learn knowledge. Not to mess around. What do you mean by mess around? He said I was messing around? His grip was very strong. And I was in pain all over from his grip. You let me go. I was angry out of embarrassment. I'm an adult already. Why do you always have to control me? Other people are about to get married after graduation. But I can't even have a relationship. Why? Chase was burning with anger. As if he was going to burn me to death. Because I raised you. Just because you raised me. You can insult me at will? The more I thought about it, the more aggrieved I became. And I pouted. I'm not messing around at all. He lowered his eyes and looked at me. Then who were you going to use this thing with? You. I lowered my head and replied softly. Chase was stunned all of a sudden. Only then did I realize that I had a problem with my expression. No, it's for you to use. This thing was given to me by my best friend Stella. Stella's father was a gambler. He owed money and used her to pay off the debt to Ryan. A big shot in the Beijing circle. She said that recently Ryan was like a possessed teddy. Her waist was almost broken. In order not to stay up all night, she secretly threw away the tools for the crime. In her words, no gold master would let his canary get pregnant. But that thing was not cheap. Both of us were used to living a poor life and couldn't bear to waste it. So she stuffed it into my pocket. For our brother. It's definitely suitable. I had so much fun tonight that I forgot about this. That's how it is. I confess to be lenient. Chase held that small box and actually had a meaningful smile on his lips. Why is it suitable? I was completely under his scrutiny. My face felt a bit hot. I didn't gain weight during puberty. I'm tall. Have a high-bridged nose. An obvious Adam's apple. Long fingers. And a lean but muscular body. That is. All the features match. I explained in a low voice. Match what? He was puzzled. That is. It means. Ig. I replied bravely. Who said so? The internet. And Stella had experience. She said it was very accurate. Mia moo. What a mess are you looking at on the internet every day? Chase frowned. I giggled apologetically. So. Brother. Is it accurate? Chase's eyes darkened. And he asked me back. Why? Do you want to measure it yourself? Really? I giggled twice. He snorted coldly and instantly changed his face. Really? Come here. See if I don't break your dog legs. How dare you? If the anti-prostitution police arrest you one day, I won't bail you out. I can't afford to lose face. Withdraw. My life is more important. At 800 in the morning. In the school classroom. There were whispers everywhere. Hey. Have you heard? There was a girl in the foreign language department who couldn't pay back her online loan and jumped off the building. She landed right in the flower bed at the bottom of that building. I heard she died on the spot. I nudged Stella, who was lying beside me. Is there another news in the school? She yawned continuously. I'm not sure. Our school has some news every year. I looked at her with 2 black eyes. Looking extremely sleepy. Really? Sister? Another all-nighter? Stella yawned again, so angry that her teeth itched. Brian, that son of a bitch, is not a human being. I mercilessly reminded her, who was the one who said she had never had such a good meal, and wanted to treat him as a free top-quality gigolo. I was young and frivolous. Sister, that bastard looks cold and abstinent. But when he takes off his pants, he's not a human being at all. He's like an old bachelor who hasn't seen a woman in centuries. Stella kept complaining. Tossed until 3 o'clock in the morning, and still have to attend an 800 am class. What kind of misery is this? The key is that this bastard doesn't pay a penny. I have to ride a shared bike to attend a party. Our brother is still better. I want to be me and Moo's sister-in-law. I was shocked. When did she go blind? Chase is nothing great. You don't know how humble I am every time I ask him for money. I'm almost on my knees calling him daddy. He always threatens to break my dog legs. It's not easy for me to grow up this big. I accused Chase one by one. That's just to scare you. I heard from my gambler father that Chase is very ruthless. Except for you. This precious sister. Who can make him worry so much? This was indeed true. Since childhood, Chase has been like a father and a mother. Really worrying his heart out, and nagging his mouth off. Chase has no father or mother and has lived with his grandmother since he was a child. When he was 6 years old, he picked me up from the garbage dump, crying. At that time, we were poor and couldn't afford milk powder. There were many people in the village raising sheep, so Chase went from door to beg for goat milk. In this way, I survived by drinking goat milk. I learned to speak late. When I was almost 2 years old, I finally called him brother. Grandma was in poor health. Since I could remember, Chase was like an adult. Of course, his temper was even fiercer than an adult's. I liked to get into trouble since I was a child, and also liked to be Chase's low follower. He couldn't stand me. But he couldn't get rid of me either. When he was 10 years old, Grandma passed away. And we two grew up depending on each other. 2 helpless children were naturally the targets of bullying at school, but Chase was a desperate fighter. And no one dared to mess with him. Before graduating from college, he joined the underworld. People all said that a small-time gangster like him would end up in prison sooner or later. Many years have passed, and he has become the leader of the underworld. At the beginning, there were still boys chasing me at school, but Chase didn't allow me to have a relationship. I was so angry that I talked back to him. He threatened to break my legs and also break the legs of that blind boy, and led us to go on a date in wheelchairs. He often came to pick me up at school. The way he looked at the boys around me was like he was holding a knife. The whole school knew that I was Chase's sister, the sister of the underworld leader. Who would be so tired of living to mess with this living Hades? So, until now, I haven't even held a boy's hand. Except for Chase. Of course. If I'm not having a good time, he won't have an easy time either. Although Chase has a temper like a mad dog, he does look decent. There are always those love-sick girls who stick to him. I painstakingly dissuaded one after another. Sister. My brother grinds his teeth, snores, and farts while sleeping. He's stingy, domestic violent, and has kidney deficiency. Cherish your life and stay away from Chase. If I don't date, you don't even think about it. Anyway, he's older than me. Let's see who can outlast whom. Hey, now that you mention it, I overheard Brian on the phone with your brother yesterday. He said something like, "Don't let you know about this." What on earth was it? Is your brother in a relationship? Suddenly, Stella remembered something. How dare he? Does Chase dare to be in a relationship behind my back? I slapped the table and was ready to fight. In the evening, when I got home, Chase was leaning on the sofa, watching a football game. I stood in front of him, with my hands on my hips. He waved impatiently. "Go away." I stared at him angrily. "Are you in a relationship?" Without even looking up, he said, "No. I don't believe you. Is it that Lisa? He looked at me with a speechless expression. What pizza? Do you want pizza? Stop pretending. It's the one with big waves. Looking like she's had a lot of plastic surgery. And always sticks to you. I reminded him angrily. His eyes rolled around. And after a few seconds of reaction, the one with the upside down. Me. Yes. The one who just got new big double eyelid surgery in my European style. He glanced at me. I must be blind to find someone uglier than you. You. I was so angry that I snatched the remote control from his hand. I want to watch my male god's variety show. I switched the TV to the entertainment channel. Looking at the person on the screen, Chase couldn't hide his disgust. This? A thing that's neither male nor female. Me a moo. How blind are you? Chase. Don't insult my idol. I glared at him fiercely. Do you know how hard he works? Chase sneered. Slowly. He picked up his phone and scrolled for a while. Then he handed a short video to me. I took a look and quickly turned my head away. My face turning red instantly. Chase. You're shameless. In the video, there were several men doing indescribable things. He tapped my head, reminding me, look at how hard your idol works. Only then did I realize that the male lead in that video was actually my newly adored male god. He was working hard to serve 3 old men. Suddenly, I felt like I had eaten a dead fly. Stella's WeChat message rang. Moo moo. Your husband's concert tickets. Me. No. He's your husband. Chase's phone video was still playing. Turn it off. It's so disgusting. I was exasperated. I turned around and went to take a bath in the bathroom. When applying body lotion, I accidentally squeezed out too much. Suddenly, an idea came to my mind. When I came out, Chase had gone back to the bedroom and lain down. I sneaked up to the door. Brother, are you asleep? He turned over. Asleep. I quietly moved to his side and tugged at his clothes. Brother. He didn't even look at me. No money. Me. Even if you call me dad. It's useless. Damn it. He's so defensive. Why are you so cynical? Do I only come to you for money? I directly smeared the expert body lotion on his face. Brother. You've worked hard to earn money recently. Let me give you some skincare. He frowned, looking disgusted. I'm a grown man. Why should I smell so fragrant? Let me tell you. Without skincare, you'll age faster. If I age, it's also because of you. I randomly smeared his face with my hands. 10 years younger. Then, I stretched out my hand to him. Pay up. 10,000. Chase had an expression like he had been scammed. Is this face cream made of gold? 10,000? Are you worth 10,000 if I sell you? I played a scamming trick. Service charge is 10,000. This fairy has the best skills in the world. He wiped his greasy face, unable to hide his disgust. Go to the club and ask around. What kind of skills do you get for 10,000? You. Shameless. My face turned red. And I simply played the scoundrel to the end. I don't care. I just want the money. What do you need the money for? He was extremely annoyed. Buy clothes. Have you ever seen a fairy wearing old clothes? Have you ever seen a fairy constipated for 5 days and unable to poop? Chase asked me back and imitated my tone at that time. Brother. Help. I clogged the toilet. Aha. Chase. I'm going to kill you. Just mentioning this made me feel nauseous. At that time, Chase had just eaten a roasted sweet potato, and then went to unclog my toilet. While poking, he vomited. I took a look and was dumbfounded. Brother. You. Ate shit? I vomited with a loud cry too. Finally, Chase chased me, wanting to break my legs. I don't care. I don't have any new clothes. I must buy some. If you don't give me money, I won't leave. I played the scoundrel to the end and occupied his bed, refusing to leave. When we were young, our family was poor. so I had to share a bed with Chase. I slept restlessly and was always used to putting one leg on him while sleeping. He was extremely disgusted. Later, he earned money and bought a big house and finally kicked me out. Now, I was going to stay on his bed to force him to spend money for some peace. Hurry up. Otherwise, you can just sleep like this tonight. I threatened him. Like a big fat worm. I wriggled, trying to push him off the bed. But this damn guy, although he didn't look fat, was so heavy. I pushed him to the edge of the bed. But he didn't move at all. Fine. Suddenly, he chuckled lowly. Surprisingly, he hugged my waist from behind. We hadn't slept together for many years. His arms were very strong. And my body immediately stiffened. What are you doing? I'm afraid of falling to the floor. His breath was hot. Especially when it blew on the back of my ear at this moment. It was itchy. I felt like my ears were on fire. You climbed into a man's bed. Why are you blushing? He mocked me with a smile. Who's blushing? Admit defeat and go back to your own bed to sleep. He reminded me. I won't admit defeat. Who's afraid of whom? I closed my eyes, ready to face death. And just sleep. Let's see who can't stand it first. Chase chuckled softly. His hot breath blew on the back of my ear. In the quiet air, I could hear his heartbeat. Time passed so slowly. A few minutes later, I peeked at him secretly. Chase had a neat buzz cut, deep-set eyes, a very straight nose, and still had a bit of wildness about him. He was actually not bad looking. My ears were hot. And my body was hot too. I felt like there were ants crawling on my body. I wanted to move but didn't want to admit defeat. After hesitating for a few seconds, I whispered, "Brother, are you asleep?" The arm around my waist tightened. What do you think? I didn't know if he was asleep. But a certain part seemed to be awake. That standard on the internet seemed to be quite accurate. I immediately froze like a log, not daring to move at all. Your bed is so hard. I'm going back to my own bed to sleep. I stammered, trying to change the topic. Every time you're so stingy when I ask you for money. Who are you saving all that money for? Of course for my wife to spend. His voice carried a smile. Yes. All of his money would be for his wife and children in the future. Even if we had a good relationship. We were still siblings after all. My nose felt sour. Ashamed and angry. I was exasperated and wanted to push him away. Go find your wife. Stop interfering with me from now on. Who would be so blind to be with you? He chuckled softly, with a strong pull of his arm. He turned me around. He looked at my face with a smile, muttering to himself, "Indeed. Not only blind, but also flat-chested, bad-tempered, and disobedient." When I realized what he said, I immediately flared up. "Chase, you're taunting me again." Suddenly, I was pushed down by him. His eyes deepened unfathomable. "Mia Moo. Are you stupid?" He lowered his eyes and looked straight at me, with rare tenderness in his eyes. Suddenly, I felt a bit panicked. He lowered his head, and we were very close. Our lips were almost touching. My heartbeat was getting faster and faster. He raised his hand and brushed the stray hair on the side of my face behind my ear, his voice hoarse. "Moo moo. Brother will never leave you." His sudden seriousness made me a bit at a loss. My face turned red. I stammered. And there was even some inexplicable delight. "Chase. You're now pretending to be affectionate, just to not give me money." He curled his lips and pinched the flesh on my cheek. "When did I not give you money? Have you no conscience?" He picked up his phone to transfer money. "Receive the money." His eyes fell on the clothes I was wearing and paused. "Go change into your pajamas." "I won't. I'll just wear this." I was wearing his t-shirt. He was tall, so his clothes were long. And on me, It was like a short-style nightgun. I always couldn't sleep while alone. And wearing his clothes made me feel safe. So until now, I had developed the habit of using his t-shirts as pajamas. I only have a few clothes in total. And you've ruined them all. Then transfer me some more money. And I'll buy you a few. I'll give you a kick. Mia moo. I think you don't know what danger is. Right? His eyes narrowed slightly, shining with a dangerous light. Tee-hee. After getting the money, I happily turned around and left. Lying in my own bed, I tossed and turned and couldn't fall asleep. I decided to ask Stella. Tang Tang. Do you think does my brother like me? Her voice on the other end was lazy and a bit hoarse. What? Has our brother finally couldn't hold it in? I told you that thing would definitely be useful for our brother. It wouldn't be wasted. You too. A sister-obsessed man and a brother-adoring girl. What a sweet pseudo-incestuous raising up type story. I'm so into it. Quick. Details. My face turned a little red. Suddenly, the voice on the other end of the phone became intermittent. Ryan. You bastard. Go out. I'm so tired. These are such wild words. Suddenly, the call was hung up. Damn girl. Having such a good time and just making me envious. That night, I had a very long dream. I dreamed that I went back to my childhood. When I was 8 years old, the school bullies saw that I had no parents and bullied me. I cried and went home to tell Chase. But instead, he gave me a good beating. He said that his sister couldn't be a coward. He told me to fight back. If I didn't win, he wouldn't let me eat. When I was 10 years old, I wanted that kind of Barbie pink cream cake. Chase carried 2 carts of cement at the construction site and earned $20. And he bought me all cream cakes. On that day, I ate until I vomited. When I was 14 years old, I had my first menstruation. I thought I had a terminal illness and cried while writing my will. Chase scolded me for being stupid while looking up the types and usage methods of sanitary napkins. Then he put another small bed in the narrow little room and hung a curtain between the 2 beds. When I was 18, someone talked about me behind my back. They said that a person from a family like Mia's must lack a lot of things, and surely have problems with her personality. After hearing this, Chase sneered and grabbed the collar of that boy. I think you also lack something. Then he gave that person a memorable beating. Now it's complete. I had never felt that I lacked anything. Chase and I, although we had lived through many tough days, he carried all the hardships alone. When other children had new clothes to wear, so did I. When other children bought calcium supplements 1 bottle at a time, Chase bought them by the box. I never envied them for having parents because my brother was better than all the parents in the world. Even though he had a bad temper and a venomous tongue. But as long as Chase was around, Mia could be domineering. I didn't know when my feelings for him had changed. Maybe many years ago, when a girl handed him a love letter. I was so angry that I cried. Brother, will you not want me anymore after you get married? I thought darkly in my heart that my brother could only be mine. Whether it was family affection, dependence, or some other more complicated feelings. I didn't know. I just wanted to be by his side all the time. That night's dream was very long. Later, Chase's hand on my waist gradually moved upward. He kissed my ear and said, "Our moo-moo has grown up." Then, he opened that small box. Took off his pajama pants. "Moo-moo. Get up. You'll be late." I opened my eyes drowsily. Chase was standing in front of my bed. "What did you dream about?" "You were moaning and groaning." I froze on the spot, and cleared my throat. I dreamed that I was on a date with a super handsome guy. He had an ambiguous smile on his lips and said slowly, "Really? But you were just calling brother." Me. Chase drove me to school. The graduation defense was coming soon. I was going bald from revising my thesis. Stella gracefully threw out a gold card. "Mia. Sister. I'm back in action." Looking at that top-level black card, I had an envious look in my eyes. It has to be Big Brother Kai. Rich and well endowed. Foster father. Please take me in. Stella waved her hand grandly. Sure. Sure. My son. Our eyes met. Studying is so brain-consuming. How about, let's go have some fun. Just do it. Stella was beautiful and wild. I heard that several popular young male models were having a performance tonight. She wanted to take me to experience the joy of being a rich woman. Have some drinks? No. My brother doesn't let me drink. If he finds out, I'm dead. I was still a coward. What drink? Isn't this just wheat juice? Stella was really something. Her knowledge was extraordinary. So, I drank 2 glasses of wheat juice. There was an exciting performance on the stage. Stella and I were shouting crazily down below. She waved her hand grandly, and directly tipped each of the 7 male models. The 7 young male models stood in a row to toast us. All of them had slender waists and long legs, red lips and white teeth, and were extremely sweet-mouthed. They provided emotional value so well. I had really seen the big world. As a result, before I could even hold their hands, Stella's phone rang. Of course, I'm studying at school. Stella hung up the phone, grabbed her bag and was about to run. Oh no. Kai Yan is coming to kill me. I have to run quickly. You should also run quickly. Kai Yan will surely tell your brother. I panicked and also quickly slipped away. Before I could get out of the door, I bumped into someone. I looked up and instantly felt like I had seen a ghost. Why was Chase here? Mia. My little heart was pounding. After standing still, I noticed that there was another person beside him. A very glamorous woman. Smiling and holding his arm affectionately. My eyes fell on their intimate gesture. And suddenly my nose felt sour. So what Stella said that day was true. Chase was really in a relationship. He had been lying to me all this time. And I had been having wild fantasies because of his ambiguous words. Standing there, I felt like a clown. I cried and went home to start packing my clothes. No. What are you doing? I'm going to move out. Move out? And live with whom? None of your business. I sobbed and shouted at him. Chase. Don't interfere with me from now on. I threw my clothes into the suitcase one by one. Chase grabbed my wrist. No. Listen to your brother. I won't listen. Let me go. It's so disgusting. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. You're a liar. Moo. You said you were not in a relationship. You said you would never leave me. Why did I believe your lies? Listen to your brother. You're a scumbag. Scum. Suddenly, he exerted force with his hand and pushed me against the wardrobe door. And kissed me. I was unprepared. Everything was spinning. I was stunned. My first kiss was gone just like that. I couldn't breathe. And my face was burning. Finally, Chase let go of me. He held my head, breathing rapidly. His eyes were burning. Can you let your brother say something? Go ahead. I didn't dare to stop him from speaking. I was afraid that he would kiss me again. She is Luna. Luna? Is she the Luna who has been with Hugh for 5 years as the legend goes? Chase never told me about his affairs. And he didn't let me ask too much either. I only knew that he was expelled from school in his senior year because of fighting and then worked under Hugh. Hugh was a very powerful figure with great influence, having a hand in both the underworld and the business world. He looked gentle and cold, but he was the most ruthless when it came to making decisions. In recent years, the Huo family's business had spread all over the world. Chase had followed him for many years and won his trust. Everyone in the circle knew that there was a girl named Luna beside Hugh who had once spent a fortune to set off fireworks on the Cross-Sea Bridge, all night just to make the beauty smile. But now, how could Luna be involved with Chase? Chase. You're actually a homewrecker. Chase looked at me and sighed helplessly. Mia moo. Are you stupid? He gently rubbed my head with a little force. Don't you know in your heart who I like? Then, Then what were you two just? I was still a bit angry. We needed to put on a show. Moo moo. There are some things that I can't tell you yet. I snorted softly. Still angry. Again. Things that you can't tell me. You don't tell me anything about your affairs. I think you're just making excuses. You're not decent outside. He tightened his arm and held me in his arms, looking down at me. Moo moo. Since childhood. Has your brother ever lied to you? No. Be good. Don't run around randomly during this period. Okay? When the time is right. Your brother will tell you everything. Oh. He was very satisfied with my obedient appearance. He lowered his head slightly, his eyes hot, and his voice was a bit seductive. Also, your brother only likes you and will never leave you. Little fool. I shyly lowered my eyelids, and my face gradually became hot. Brother. Is this considered a confession? He smiled, trying not to laugh. What do you think? I glared at him with a red face. Of course it is. My first kiss is gone. If it's not, you're a scoundrel. I accused him indignantly. Other people's first kisses are very beautiful. Who is like him, coming to force a kiss like this? A scoundrel is a scoundrel. He doesn't understand sentiment at all. He held my head, leaned closer to me, and our noses touched. He smirked. Oh. Then be a scoundrel once more? I'm not ready yet. After the kiss ended, I leaned against his chest, smelling his scent. The heat on my face hadn't faded yet, and fluctuating emotions were echoing in my heart. Brother. Although I often don't listen to you and talk back to you, you're the only one I have. Brother. You don't know. I used to be so afraid that you would marry someone else and not want me anymore. When you have a wife and children, I will be even less important. Why didn't you tell me earlier that you liked me? He gently rubbed my head and smiled helplessly. You were too young. Your brother was just afraid that you would be impulsive and mistakenly take admiration and dependence on someone as love. Also, I was afraid that if I broke this layer of window paper with you, you would hate your brother, and we couldn't even be siblings anymore. So he also had so many entanglements like me. The clouds cleared and the sun shone through. There was a joyous feeling in my heart. Then haven't you thought that maybe I really only regarded you as my brother? The arm around my waist tightened a bit. He looked down at me quietly. Yes. I have. But your brother can't bear to see you being nice to others. Even if I have to tie you up, I will keep you by my side. Humph. Using the scoundrel's trick again. His finger gently stroked my cheek. His eyes deep. No. Your brother also has only you. Shall we be like this for a lifetime? He lowered his head, about to kiss me again. His phone rang. After Chase said a few short words and hung up, I was still looking up, with my eyes closed, waiting for the kiss that hadn't started yet, only to hear him chuckle softly. Mia moo. Let's settle some other scores. His hand directly pressed on my head, running to the bar instead of staying at school to order male models. And 7 of them. You have quite an appetite. Oh no. There was still this matter. I thought I was in the right at first, but I overestimated myself. Now it was my turn to panic. Be good. Tell me. For the 7 male models, how were you two planning to divide them? He smiled gently. A scary kind of gentle. I giggled dryly, my mouth faster than my brain. She takes 4 and I take 3. After all, she paid the money. He snorted coldly, and the coldness in his eyes was almost impossible to hide. Very good. Not good, Ged. The alarm bells in my heart rang loudly. Brother. I like you so much. I hugged his waist. Stop that. I clung to him and refused to let go. Really. I don't like them at all. They are not even 1/10,000th as good looking as my brother. It was all Tang Tang who ordered them. I didn't even hold their hands and didn't dare to look at them. He sneered coldly. Coincidentally, Stella said the same thing. She said she ordered them all for you. Great. The friendship boat had hit a huge iceberg. What should I do? Keep coaxing. I hugged Chase tightly and looked up. Brother. Big brother. Don't be angry. I love you the most. He held my chin with his palm and coldly reminded me. Stop being so glib. Be serious. I wouldn't. I pouted and stood on tiptoe to reach him. Give me a kiss. He let out a heavy breath and slapped my butt. He said to me fiercely, Mia moo. I think you need a good spanking. Chase had been very busy recently. He said it was not safe lately and didn't let me go out. Stay at home obediently. If you're bored, just spend some money. Whatever you want can be delivered to your door. He set my card to an unlimited amount. Suddenly, I was so bored. I hadn't quarreled with him recently. So boring. On weekends. He didn't rest either. When I was extremely bored, Stella sent me a WeChat message. Moo moo. The school jumping off building incident has actually become a hot topic. Then she sent me a few news articles. Why are all these news talking about your brother? I clicked in and found that now on the internet, people were all discussing that the girl was forced to death by Chase's men. A single stone stirred up 1,000 waves. A jumping off building incident was fermenting more and more. Comments about Chase were pouring in. Netizens said that he was the leader of the underworld, involved in prostitution, gambling, drugs, and all kinds of evil deeds. There was even a news report that the underworld gang led by Chase had been arrested by the police. My heart instantly became extremely worried. I called Chase several times, but no one answered. I was secretly worried in my heart and started to worry unnecessarily again, feeling restless. I really couldn't sit still anymore. So I decided to go find him. Although Chase was a tough person, I never believed that my brother was the kind of person who did all kinds of evil. I hurriedly went out and took a taxi. I kept calling him on my phone until the sound of the brakes rang out. When I glanced out of the car window out of the corner of my eye, I realized that the road the driver was taking was wrong. Before I could react, my nose and mouth were covered, and soon I lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes, a gentle laugh sounded above my head. Little sister, do you still remember me? My whole body was limp. I tried to raise my head. It was actually Hugh. The man was wearing a pure black suit, and a cold light shone through his gold-rimmed glasses. Don't be afraid. Your brother will come to pick you up soon. I looked around, and suddenly fear spread throughout my body. There was also a person sitting slumped on the ground. It was Luna. In the closed room, there were also 3 men standing. I couldn't exert any strength in my body, and I felt an indescribable discomfort. I had never experienced such a situation before, and I was extremely frightened. Hugh waved his hand as a signal. Tell Chase that he can only take one away. When Chase rushed in, his eyes were red, and his chest was heaving violently. I couldn't hold it in anymore and cried out to him, Brother. Chase took a deep breath and gritted his teeth. He forced a smile. Brother Shenile. I'm here to take my sister home. Hugh smiled infuriately, stood up, and tightly pinched Luna's chin. Yow yow. See? This is the person you like. Luna bit her lip tightly and remained silent. Chase picked me up. I smelled the familiar scent and finally let out a sigh of relief. But my body was getting more and more uncomfortable. We drove all the way home at high speed. He didn't say a word, and the expression on his face was extremely gloomy. He put me on the bed, and I grabbed the corner of his clothes and refused to let go. Brother, I'm so uncomfortable. He had a sullen face, quickly untied his tie, and took off his shirt. Then he turned and went to the bathroom. I was so unbearably uncomfortable that I rolled around on the bed. Not long after, he came back. His whole body was wet, dripping with cold water droplets. Brother. I called him with a hoarse voice. He stood in front of the bed, looking down at me. No moo. Did your brother tell you to stay at home obediently and not go out? Why didn't you listen? Brother. I'm sorry. I endured the discomfort with great effort. Sorry, and then? Will you do it again next time? He raised his hand and gripped my chin. His eyes were cold, and his tone was full of uncontrollable anger. Mia. Have I been spoiling you too much? If I hadn't shown up today, do you know what would have happened? Those 3 men would have ruined you, filmed a video, and posted it on the internet. Your brother will cut those who hurt you into 1,000 pieces. My consciousness had already become more and more chaotic, and I couldn't bear it for a second. Woo-woo. I'm so uncomfortable. Can you stop talking first? He stared at me firmly, his breathing unsteady. If you can't do it, call someone else. I couldn't bear it anymore and reached my hand to my waist. But he directly grabbed my wrist and raised it above my head. Someone else? Who should I call? He sneered and actually took the scattered tie and tied my hands. Woo. Chase. You bastard. Let me go. Scoundrel. Damn it. I was so angry that I kept scolding him. He looked at me quietly and smiled slightly. Very good. Keep scolding. I bit my lip and was so uncomfortable that I cried out. Brother. Can you come and kiss me? He stared at me, his breathing deepening. He leaned forward. He bent down and kissed away the tears that had fallen from my face. He opened the small box that I had dropped last time from the bedside. After a very long time, I calmed down. But he didn't. I was pushed down by him, and was questioned by him over and over again. Moo. Can you listen to your brother's words from now on? Yes. Brother. I will definitely listen to you obediently. Not oppose you. Not talk back to you. If you talk back during the day in the future, your brother will pay you back double at night. We didn't sleep all night. The next day when I woke up, I was exhausted. Chase, for the first time, didn't go out early. I was held in his arms. I put my leg on his waist and was scalded a little. I was startled and quickly put it down. He rested his chin on my head, his voice hoarse. Does it still hurt? What's the use of asking now? No matter how much I begged him yesterday, he wouldn't let me go. He just wanted me to learn my lesson. I turned my head away and didn't want to pay attention to him. He had calmed down, but I was still angry. But there were so many questions and worries in my heart. I quietly turned my head again and asked him, the one who was with me yesterday. Luna is fine. I secretly let out a sigh of relief. Is what was written in the news true? They said you committed a lot of crimes. Are you taking the blame for Hugh? Why are you the only one exposed on the internet? Although he didn't let me know about his affairs, the things that had happened recently were too strange. Obviously, it was all aimed at Chase alone. Brother, are you really going to jail? I was secretly worried and asked him in a muffled voice. If brother really goes to jail, what will you do? I'll wait for you at most for 3 years. If you don't come out, I'll find a younger, gentler one. I hugged him tightly, listening to his heartbeat. Brother, you'll be okay, right? Chase stroked my head gently. Moo. Brother will be very busy recently and can't take care of you. Haven't you always wanted to go out and play? Brother has already asked for leave for you at school. Brother has booked a plane ticket for you. Go play for a few days. If you're alone and bored, ask Stella to go with you. I'm not going. I couldn't hold it in anymore and interrupted him. Brother, I'm not going anywhere. I'll wait for you at home. I'll be obedient, not run around outside. I won't open the door for anyone who comes. You don't let me go alone, okay? Recently, Chase left early and returned late every day. I was alone in the empty room, and my heart was filled with endless worry. I also hated myself for being useless and not being able to help at all. He came back very late. I had waited for a long time. I didn't know when I had fallen asleep. In a daze, half asleep and half awake, I saw him sitting in front of the bed. looking through the photo album. One by one in the album, they were all my photos. He lowered his head. Under the light, his face seemed to have lost some weight. His hair had grown longer these days, and a layer of green stubble had also appeared on his face. I touched it, and it was a bit prickly. Brother, you don't even shave your beard. You're going to become ugly. I'm ugly? He directly pushed my head and leaned over to kiss me. Your beard wet my face. You're the ugly one. My eyes fell on the photo album in his hand. And I boasted again, unlike this fairy. I've been beautiful since childhood. He chuckled and pinched my cheek. Have you ever seen a fairy with a lisp? Who has a lisp? Stop slandering me. He found a photo from his phone. It was me when I was 8 or 9 years old. Not long after Grandma passed away that year. Chase didn't know how to braid my hair. My hair was messy like a shaggy dog. At the age of losing teeth. When I grinned, I was missing a front tooth. Why do you still keep this photo? Not just this one. Chase. I'm going to kill you. How could you save more than 800 embarrassing photos of me? And this screensaver. Why use such an ugly photo of me? To ward off evil spirits. I was going crazy. Wait for me to find your embarrassing photos. As a result, I searched through my phone but couldn't find a single one. Chase had been poor and suffered hardships. But he had never been ugly. His always the same buzz cut. But his appearance was extremely good looking. I went to snatch Chase's phone. He held it up high. Like teasing a dog. I was so angry that I climbed onto him to destroy my embarrassing history. We were tangled up on the bed. Somehow, I ended up under him. My face was red. And I was out of breath. Delete my ugly photos. They're so ugly. Where are they ugly? They're so beautiful. Those death angle photos. Where are they beautiful? He pinched my face. Haven't you heard a saying? All children look beautiful to their own parents. I raised you myself. No matter how I look at you, you're beautiful. No one is as beautiful as my little treasure. My hair was messy. He took off the bow-shaped hair tie from my ponytail and put it on his wrist. He lowered his head and kissed my forehead. My heart was bubbling with joy. I hooked his neck and packed his lips. It's still my own brother that I can kiss without worry. I originally just wanted a gentle kiss. But he directly deepened the kiss. His eyes were a little red. And his eyes were deep. He kissed me. And I responded to him. Chase was unusually gentle today. But also uncontrollably domineering. The days of suffering, waiting, worry, and anxiety these days. At this moment, all were forgotten. After it ended, he held me and kissed the tears in the corners of my eyes. Manu, don't go to sleep yet. Brother has a few things to tell you. Actually, brother has lied to you. You were not picked up by brother from the garbage dump. Your mother was my teacher. At that time, our family was poor, and Grandma was sick. She often took care of us. Suddenly one day, she sent you to my home, and then she disappeared. At that time, I was young and didn't understand why. Until the day Grandma passed away. She told me that your father was a police officer. A criminal group wanted to take revenge on him, and kidnapped your mother. Your mother had anticipated it in advance and entrusted you to my family, who had no relation to her at all. And she, on the way of the kidnapping, committed suicide. At that time, the leader of the criminal group was Hugh's father. Now this vortex is getting deeper and deeper, involving not only drugs, but also multiple chains such as overseas fraud, prostitution, human organ trafficking, and dark net transactions. More than 20 years ago in that case, many policemen sacrificed their lives. Your father was one of them. And so were Zachary's parents. Do you still remember Zachary's brother? He was a good friend of your brother when he was at school. At 20 years old, Zachary restarted his father's police number. After that net closing operation was exposed, in order to protect most people. He sacrificed himself. After I dropped out of school, I worked as a thug in Hugh's place. Because I provided clues about Zachary, I was appreciated by Hugh, and Zachary was tortured to death. Once you step on this road, only when you are dead and buried underground will the mosaic on your name disappear. I didn't become a policeman. Brother is not afraid of death. Brother is just afraid that you will be like your mother. Brother just wants you to grow up happily. Over the years, I have been an informant for the police. Zachary's girlfriend became an undercover police officer after his sacrifice. That person is Luna. Recently, she was being followed. The cooperation between me and Luna was just to divert Hugh's attention. Listening to Chase's words one by one, I couldn't be calm for a long time. All of this, for a while, I didn't know how to accept and digest. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Brother. He looked at me, and there seemed to be a little starlight in his eyes. Moo moo. Brother doesn't want you to grow up in hatred. Brother just wants you to live. Simply live in the sunlight. I hugged him and couldn't control myself anymore and cried out. So, are you telling me this now because these secrets are about to end? You will be in danger. Right. Otherwise, why would you tell me these? He gently patted my back again and again, comforting me like when I was a child. Moo moo. Brother has transferred all his money to your card. There are also several funds, and you can withdraw part of the money from them every year. Even if brother dies, don't think about revenge. You should grow up well for brother. Before you are 30 years old, find a reliable person to marry. He should be able to take care of you, have a good temper, and be able to cook. Be careful yourself, and don't let men cheat you out of your money. Chase, what are you talking about? I sobbed and questioned him loudly. You said you would never leave me. I was trembling all over, hugging him and crying. Brother, you won't die, right? Tell me, you will come back. He closed his eyes. His eyelids trembled, and he raised his hand to touch my head. No. Wait for brother to come back. We will win. There are always thousands of people devoting themselves to the raging fire of darkness. There are always thousands of people being the brave ones on the tip of the knife. He said that justice will never fall. I was sent to a safe border city. Luna was with me. She worked as a volunteer teacher here. We lived in a quiet village. The scenery was beautiful. Every family here believed in Buddhism. Every day, Luna would sincerely burn 3 incense sticks. I asked her what she was praying for. She looked at the Buddhist statue quietly, and her eyes were as calm as a placid lake. Praying for the next life. 3 days later, it was reported on the internet that the criminal leader Chase was shot and fell off the cliff during the police pursuit operation and died. The next day, the largest criminal group led by Hugh in the country was wiped out all at once. Chase? Is Chase still alive? My heart tightened. I was on the verge of collapse. Stella called me immediately. No. Don't worry. There is no body at the bottom of the cliff. They are already looking for him. Our brother is so lucky. He must still be alive. Yes. He must still be alive. My brother will never leave me. He said so. Every day, I prayed for safety in front of the Buddha. 3 days later, I saw Chase lying on the hospital bed. The patient's head has been severely hit, and he hasn't woken up yet. The longer the coma lasts, the greater the danger. There is a high possibility that he will become a vegetative state. Suddenly, all the strength in my body seemed to be drained, and I slumped to the ground. My heart palpitated so much that I couldn't breathe, and even my breathing was painful. I stood there and watched him lying quietly on the hospital bed. Beside him were piles of instruments beeping. His eyes were closed, and his lips were chapped. My bow-shaped hair I was still on his wrist. My all-powerful brother was lying there quietly. At that moment, all I could think was, if Chase couldn't survive, I didn't want to live either. People need a support to live. If he was gone, I didn't know what the meaning of my life was. It would be better to go with him. At that moment, I suddenly understood why Luna prayed for the next life. I said a lot of things to Chase in front of the bed, but he always ignored me. Later, I gradually lost my patience. Brother, the doctor said you're a vegetative state. But don't worry. I won't give up on you. I found a new boyfriend. He has dyed yellow hair and rides a cool motorcycle. Although he has no money, no education, and has been divorced 3 times. We are truly in love. He is very kind to me. I'm going to get married after graduation, and then spend money on him. Before I could finish my words, the monitoring instruments suddenly beeped loudly. Mia, you are looking for death. Suddenly, Chase sat up in shock in his sickbed. Do you believe that I will break your dog legs? The doctor rushed over in one step and held him down. No. No. Come quickly. Why is the patient's blood pressure so high? Sir? Calm down. Your sister was lying to you. You are so excited that you are likely to have a cerebral hemorrhage. Chase was stunned for a moment and looked at me. I was stunned for 3 seconds. When I met his eyes, suddenly I burst into tears with a loud cry. Brother, you finally woke up. I hugged him and refused to let go, crying hysterically. Okay. Be good. Stop crying. He touched my head. I still couldn't stop crying, sobbing continuously. He was both amused and exasperated. I woke up last night, seeing that you were asleep. I didn't call you. I was too tired these days. I was so sleepy that I couldn't hold on and fell asleep. I stared at him blankly. I wiped my tears. Then you go back to sleep. Brother. I won't disturb you. He looked at me, with a rare gentleness on his face. Come here first and let your brother give you a kiss.